Well, we finally made it to Five Nights at Freddy's Free, the title where you either love or hate this game. I, for one, really like this game, and I would argue this was the most hyped up FNAF game before its release. We're playing as Mike again, and we decide to get a job at a newly opened horror attraction based off the old Freddy locations. This haunted house seems to be profiting off of the tragic things that happened at the old Freddy locations, and now we are stuck here to defend ourselves against a brand new threat, Springtrap. And that about does it for my basic summary of this game's story. Now let's get into the gameplay, and I'll touch up on some more story details later in the video. After FNAF 2 took a more chaotic approach to its gameplay, FNAF 3 really tried to go back to basics while adding in some new fresh things for us to play around with. You see, what makes FNAF 3 so special compared to the other FNAF games is the fact that there is only one animatronic in this game that can actually kill you, and that is Springtrap. The other animatronics that do show up, that being the Phantoms, can't actually hurt you, but they do make the game more tedious, and they alert Springtrap to where you are. Your main method of defense from Springtrap is the audio lure. You use this to keep Springtrap away from your office and lure him into different rooms. But it's not that simple, because the equipment in this location is absolute garbage, and you will constantly have to reboot it to get it to work again. And I actually really like the reboot system in this game. It adds a lot of tension and stress onto the player, and if even one of these systems are down, Springtrap can kill you very easily. I also really enjoy the atmosphere of this game. I love the game's green color scheme, and I love how dirty and disgusting the location looks. It really goes a long way with giving this game its own identity, and it really does stand out compared to the other games. It also gave us one of the best characters in the franchise, Springtrap himself. I could honestly make an entire video gushing about this guy because there's just so much to love about this character. His green color scheme is really cool, his rotting flesh protruding out of the different metal bits of the endoskeleton, his tall and intimidating stature. Everything about this design just works so well, and I think it's easily one of the scariest animatronics in the entire series. But Springtrap is even better because of his lore, which I want to get into a little bit right now. You see, FNAF 3 really decides to focus on the man who committed the missing children's incident from the very first game. And at the time of this game's release, we didn't really know anything about the killer. All we knew him as was Purple Guy, because that's how he was presented to us in these minigames. But obviously nowadays we know him as William Afton, which we wouldn't know if it wasn't for Sister Location and the books. Revisiting this game is even more fun because of the knowledge we have about William Afton. Having the knowledge of what kind of character he is and seeing the horrible shit that he does in the first two games really goes a long way with making this game's story even better than it was when it released. At the time, Purple Guy was shrouded in mystery, but now that we know who William Afton is, this game feels like a confrontation between him and Mike. Not only that, but we get to see how William Afton actually ended up becoming Springtrap. We also learned about spring lock suits and spring lock failure, which are all things that would become very important to the grander FNAF lore. I would also argue FNAF 3 had the best and most iconic minigames. Because there were so many of them to find, and them also giving us a lot of insight to the story at the time, the FNAF 3 minigames were really fun. And obviously, this game isn't perfect. Springtrap's AI can be easy to cheese if you know what you're doing, and some of the Phantoms can be aggravating and really hard to deal with. Phantom Foxy. But none of that stuff really matters to me because I see this game for what it is. A giant showdown between William Afton, the man who caused all of this, and the protagonist. Springtrap just feels like a boss fight throughout the entire game, and I honestly love that. And while FNAF 3 isn't my favorite FNAF game, I would put it pretty high up there. And when it comes to the classic FNAF games, FNAF 3 is one of the only ones that still scares me to this day. Whether it's the Phantoms catching me off guard, or hearing Springtrap's disturbing groans as he walks throughout the location, Five Nights at Freddy's Free still manages to make me feel scared. And that's honestly something I can't say for some of the other classic FNAF games. There's just something about FNAF 3 that hits different. Overall, Five Nights at Freddy's Free is another great sequel and another just good game in general in this series. I love how much personality this game has, I love how much it brought to the lore, and I'm sure we can all agree Springtrap is a peak villain. But those are just my thoughts on FNAF Free, and I'll see you in whatever my next project ends up being.